Your vending machines generate $35 million per year. Nobody knows. Your life as a stealth cash flow king. Your phone made $4,800 while you slept last night? Not from crypto. Not from a course. Not from a newsletter with 47 subscribers and aggressive monetization. From vending machines. Specifically, 1,847 vending machines distributed across hospitals, office buildings, university campuses, transportation hubs, and one very large correctional facility whose location your accountant recommended and whose monthly output you try not to think about too hard. The machines don't know it's night. The machines don't know it's a holiday. The machines don't know you exist. They just take the money and notify your phone, which is on the kitchen counter, while you make coffee in a $12 t-shirt that you own because there is nobody to impress in your kitchen at 7 a.m. This is the story of how you got here, from one machine in a laundromat to $35 million a year in automated transactions, and why nobody in your life can tell that the second thing happened. Machine 1. You are not a visionary. Let's be clear about that immediately. You bought one vending machine because a video about boring businesses mentioned it, and you had $3,200 in a savings account earning 0.38% APY, and you did the math and decided that was unacceptable. The machine cost $2,800. The laundromat on Hendricks Avenue agreed to host it for 15% of gross revenue. You stocked it with chips, candy, and 3 drink options you personally verified people in laundromats actually purchase. Month 1, $890 gross, $133 commission, $380 product cost, $377 net. Annualized, that is roughly $4,524. Which is not $35 million, which is fine. Month 1 is not supposed to be $35 million. Month 1 is supposed to tell you whether the machine was a $2,800 mistake or the first sentence of something longer. You tell your friend group you have a vending machine. They receive this the way people receive the news that someone has started taking improv classes, with polite encouragement and a privately held opinion that this will end in modest embarrassment. One friend asks if you ride around in a van restocking it. You explain that you check it every Tuesday and Thursday. He says, "Oh, so yes." You do not correct this characterization because it is technically correct. By month 6, the laundromat machine is averaging $1,500 gross per month, $5,400 net per year. You have recouped your machine cost. The machine is now generating profit on nothing but its own existence. You sit with this fact for a while. Then you buy 2 more machines. The first machine is not the business. The first machine is the proof of concept. The business is the decision you make after the proof comes back positive. Route Alpha, 10 machines. A mix of placements, 3 laundromats, 2 gym lobbies, a university study hall, 2 small office buildings, and 1 waiting room at a tire shop where the average customer waits 94 minutes and has nothing else to do. The tire shop machine is your best performer, not because tires are lucrative, because 94 minutes is a long time and people make decisions they wouldn't make in a 3-minute interaction. Your margin on a $2.25 bag of pretzels to a person who has been waiting an hour for their car is significantly better than the margin to someone who has a choice. You hire a part-time route driver. He is paid fairly. He is reliable. He texts you occasionally with observations about which machines are running low. He is the best $18 per hour you have ever spent. You have not told him that the route he drives generates $54,000 a year net because that is not relevant information for a route driver, and also because people act differently when they know what the numbers are. Route Alpha is where vending stops being a hobby and starts being a business. The difference is the route driver, the LLC, and the spreadsheet Linda maintains with visible reluctance and invisible precision. Regional scale. Hospital placements changed your trajectory. This is not an accident. A hospital vending machine runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. The customer base includes people on overnight shifts who cannot leave the building, families in waiting rooms who forgot to eat, and a rotating population of visitors who did not bring snacks and are in no emotional state to comparison shop. A premium hospital placement generates between $8,000 and $30,000 per month gross. Your hospital contracts, secured after 6 months of pitching, 3 rejected proposals, and 1 meeting where you wore a suit for the first time in 2 years, average $12,000 gross per machine per month. You now tell people you are in healthcare adjacent services. This is technically true. The machines are in hospitals. You do not specify that the healthcare service being provided is access to Doritos at 3 a.m. Nobody asks follow-up questions because healthcare adjacent services sounds like exactly the kind of thing that requires a follow-up question to understand. And most people, when faced with that sentence, make a swift calculation that the answer will be less interesting than the words implied, and they move on. This is a feature, not a bug. 50 machines, 3 route drivers. Linda has expanded her spreadsheet. Linda does not comment on the expansion. You ask Linda if she thinks you should keep going. Linda says, "That's not my department." You ask whose department it is. Linda says yours. You take this as confirmation and buy 10 more machines. The hospital contract is the unlock. One hospital campus with correctly negotiated commission rates generates more net profit than 20 average laundromat placements. Placement quality is the only variable that scales faster than machine count. Mid-empire. 200 machines, multi-city, transportation hubs, airports, train stations, a bus terminal that your route manager described as very busy and very sad, and which generates $14,000 a month gross. At this scale, the business operates without you in any meaningful daily sense. You have a route operations manager, you have Linda, who now has an associate. The associate sends you monthly summaries. The associate's name is Kevin. Kevin is very thorough. You have never met Kevin in person. Kevin is responsible for more of your operational awareness than any human being in your daily life. You run into Dave at a reunion. Dave was promoted 3 times since you left your corporate job. Dave is visibly doing well. Dave asks what you're up to these days. You say you are managing a portfolio of automated retail assets across multiple metropolitan areas. Dave nods slowly. Dave says, "So like vending?" You say yes. Dave processes this. Dave says, "Is that going okay?" You look at Dave for 1 second longer than necessary. You say, "It's going." Dave nods with the expression of someone who has concluded that you are putting a brave face on something. You have $1.08 million in net income this year. You say nothing more about it. Dave offers to buy the next round. You let him. You do not change your car. You have thought about changing your car. Linda advised against it at your current entity structure for tax reasons you understood approximately 60% of. You keep the car. The car is invisible. The car is doing important work being invisible. 200 machines is the point where the business has become bigger than any story you can tell about it in a social setting. I have 200 vending machines produces a response that requires explanation. The explanation takes longer than the conversation allows. You stop providing it. Full empire. 1,000 machines. A national footprint. You no longer know where all of them are without consulting the dashboard. This used to bother you. It stopped bothering you around machine 400 when you accepted that the correct response to a successful system is to let the system run, not to personally audit every node of it. You have implemented smart vending technology, remote monitoring, cashless payment integration, dynamic pricing on select high-traffic units, and real-time inventory alerts. The machines now communicate their own needs to your operations team before a problem becomes a service call. Machine 847 in the Portland airport is running low on protein bars. Machine 847 knows this. Machine 847 has already generated the restock request. You will never think about Machine 847. Machine 847 is handling it. You have a conversation with Linda. The annual review. Linda presents the numbers for the year. $18 million gross. $5.4 million net after commissions, COGS, operations, and Linda's own considerable fee, which Linda always presents last with the expression of someone who has earned it and knows it. You ask Linda where you go from here. Linda says, "How big do you want to be?" You say you don't know. Linda says, "That's fine. The machines don't need you to know." You consider this. The machines do not need you to know. The machines are processing transactions right now at 11:47 p.m. on a Wednesday in cities you will not visit this year, doing exactly what you built them to do. At 1,000 machines, you have built something larger than most people believe is possible from a laundromat on Hendricks Avenue and $2,800. The machines didn't care about the starting point. They only cared about being placed and stocked and maintained. The scale was always a consequence of the repetition, not the vision. $35 million empire. $35 million a year. Gross. From vending machines. From chips and drinks and the protein bars in Machine 847 that restock themselves before you think about them. From the hospital at 3 a.m. and the airport on holidays and the tire shop where people wait 94 minutes and eat pretzels. From Linda's spreadsheet and Kevin's monthly summaries and the route driver who has been with you since Route Alpha and who you have given a stake in the operations company because loyalty at scale is worth more than the equity it costs. You attend a business event. Someone asks what you do. Old habit. Healthcare-adjacent automated retail infrastructure solutions at national scale. New answer, which you have been practicing. I own vending machines. They wait for more. You do not give them more. They say, oh, interesting. You say yes. They move to the next conversation. You get a phone notification. Silent, banner only. Transaction processed, $2.75. Somewhere in Philadelphia. Machine 1203. You put the phone in your pocket. You get a small sparkling water from the event bar. The sparkling water is free. You drink it slowly. Dave texts you occasionally. Dave is now a VP. Dave is doing very well. Dave still assumes you are making a modest living from your vending thing and occasionally sends you articles about passive income businesses that sound promising. Last month, he sent you an article about parking lot striping. You read it. It was good. You sent Linda a note asking whether the asset diversification made sense. Linda responded, I'll look into it. You took this as a yes. The machines generate $35 million a year. Your LinkedIn has 47 pending connection requests. Your car is paid off and 7 years old. The $12 t-shirt is still in rotation. And Linda, who has seen everything, who manages the books for the entire empire, who could at any moment acknowledge that what you have built is genuinely extraordinary. Linda sends her quarterly reports with the subject line Q3 summary and no additional commentary. You have decided this is the highest available form of professional respect, and you are at peace with it. Somewhere tonight, someone is standing in the laundromat on Hendricks Avenue waiting for their laundry to dry. They buy a bottle of water from the machine in the corner, $1.50. They do not think about the machine. They do not think about who owns it. They do not think about the fact that this specific machine in this specific laundromat is machine 001 in a network of 2,000 machines that generated $35 million this year while the owner made coffee in a $12 t-shirt. The machine is not interesting to them. The machine is just there. It takes money. It gives water. It does this every day, around the clock, without requiring anything from anyone except that its inventory be maintained and its commission be paid. That is the entire business model. It is the most boring sentence that has ever produced $35 million in gross revenue. It was boring at machine 1. It is boring at machine 2000. The boredom was always the point. The business conference crowd is not your competition. The LinkedIn influencers are not your competition. The people selling courses about passive income are not your competition. The people who compete with you are the ones who also quietly placed machines in hospitals and tire shops and airport terminals while everyone else was building personal brands. There are not many of them. There is room. There has always been room. The room just doesn't have a ring light in it. $35 million from vending machines. $12 t-shirt. Linda sends the quarterly report. Subject line, Q3 summary. No additional commentary. This is everything. Before you go, drop a comment right now. What is your current cover story for what you do for work? If this video made you look at a vending machine differently for the first time, like and subscribe.